Welcome to Nuke with Nuggets.
Great to be here.
Today, we're diving deep into From Impossible to Inevitable by Aaron Ross and Jason Lemkin.
Yeah, a really influential book in the SaaS world, definitely.
Absolutely. They've got this 7-step template for achieving hypergrowth. We're talking like 2 to 10 times growth.
Which sounds pretty intense.
It does. So our mission today is really to unpack some of those crucial foundational steps. The stuff they say you have to get right before you can really scale big.
The groundwork.
Exactly. Things like, identifying your ideal customer, their real problems, building a system for predictable lead gen.
And structuring the sales team properly. Yeah.
Right. The goal is to get a clear picture of that initial work needed to make those huge growth targets seem, well, inevitable, as the title says.
And it's so important because, lots of companies try to skip these bits. They jump straight to scale.
And then wonder why it's not working.
Exactly. The book really hammers home that these early steps are just non-negotiable.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Step 1 they really emphasize is nailing your niche. Sounds simple, but what does that actually mean in practice? Like, how do you know you've nailed it?
Well, it's about getting super focused. It means you really, really know your ideal customer. Not just who they are, but their specific pain points, their frustrations.
Day stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then you need a solution that hits that pain point using what you're uniquely good at. It's not just who you could sell to.
It's who you're best suited to help.
Precisely. It's about creating that unfair advantage through focus.
So what are the warning signs then? How does a company know if they haven't nailed their niche?
Common signs are things like inconsistent growth, maybe hitting a sales plateau you can't seem to break through.
Stalling out.
Yeah. Or a big one is when prospects tell you your product or service is kind of nice to have.
Ouch. Not essential.
Right. That usually means your message isn't hitting a deep enough pain for a specific group.
Okay, so how do you actually find that niche? Is there like a process?
They suggest this sort of iterative recipe. It involves 4 things: audience, pain, solution, and results.
Audience, pain, solution, results.
Okay. And the idea is you cycle through these, constantly refining them based on feedback and what you're learning. It's not a one-time thing.
Right. Okay. Let's break that down. Starting with audience. They say focus on one industry or customer type. How narrow are we talking?
Think really specific, especially at first. So instead of just, say, small businesses.
It's just huge.
Right. You might focus on independent coffee shops in major cities with less than 10 employees, or marketing managers at B2B tech companies with 5,200 employees.
Wow, that's specific.
Yeah. The goal is to picture that ideal customer so clearly, maybe even list, 50 or 100 actual companies that fit. This focus helps you tailor everything.
It feels kind of scary to go that narrow, though, like you're leaving money on the table.
It does feel counterintuitive, I get that. But the payoff is huge. You become the proverbial big fish in a small pond. Your marketing message becomes laser focused and resonates deeply. Word of mouth travels faster in a tighter community. You avoid that trap of being too generic and ending up meaning nothing to anyone.
Right. You actually stand out to someone.
Exactly.
So once you have that super specific audience, what's next? Understanding their pain.
And this is crucial, understanding their true pain. Often what people say they want isn't the real underlying issue.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Like someone might say, I need a better looking website. But if you dig deeper.
Asking why.
Yeah, asking why, maybe multiple times. You might find the real pain is, my website doesn't generate any leads, or I can't track if my marketing spend is working. The cosmetic part is just a symptom.
Ah, okay. So you got to get past the surface request.
Absolutely. Your job is to find that core business problem they're really trying to solve.
And then comes the solution part of the recipe.
Right. Once you understand that deep pain for that specific audience, how does your solution uniquely address it? What makes your way better for them? This is your unique value proposition.
Based on your own strengths or experience.
Exactly. Your skills, your background, your way of thinking. How does that translate into a unique fix for their specific problem?
And the last piece was results. How does that fit in early on?
You need to think from the start about how you'll prove your solution works. Can you measure the impact? Can you quantify the benefit for that niche?
So thinking about case studies and data right away.
Definitely. Building that portfolio of tangible, measurable results is key. It makes your claims believable and validates that you've actually nailed the niche. It answers the so what question.
Okay, so understand the audience deeply, find their real pain, offer a unique solution based on your strengths, and then prove it with results.
That's the core loop. And the book lists like 5 traits of a great niche.
Oh yeah, what are they?
Let's see. It solves a specific common problem for that group. It delivers tangible, measurable results like actual numbers. The solution itself is believable. The customers are easy to identify and find, and it leverages your unique abilities.
That's a great checklist. Become that big fish in a small pond first.
Exactly. Start narrow to go big later.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense for nailing the niche. Now, the next big piece they talk about is building a predictable pipeline. Why is that so critical for hypergrowth?
Well, simply put, it's the engine. Without a predictable way to bring in leads and opportunities, your growth is going to be erratic. It's feast or famine.
Just reacting all the time.
Yeah, chasing deals, never knowing where the next customer is coming from. Predictability lets you forecast, plan, and actually scale reliably.
Right. And they break down leads into 3 types, don't they? Seeds, nets, and spears.
Mm-hmm. It's a really useful way to think about lead sources.
Let's start with seeds. What falls into that category?
So seeds are basically leads that grow from relationships and happiness. Think word of mouth, referrals, your network, maybe some PR.
The organic stuff.
Exactly. Many to many. It's driven by happy customers who advocate for you, like how Dropbox or Slack got started. Lots of people telling other people.
So how do you cultivate more seeds?
It comes back to delivering exceptional value and making sure customers are genuinely happy, even delighted. You need systems for customer success to maximize referrals and minimize churn. Happy customers plant seeds for you.
Makes sense. Deliberately create advocates. Okay, what about nets?
Nets are your one-to-many marketing efforts. Think casting a wide net to capture leads. There's primarily inbound marketing, content marketing, SEO, maybe some advertising.
Like blogging, webinars, guides, attracting people to you?
Precisely. Companies like HubSpot or Marketo are masters of the net strategy. The goal is to provide valuable content that pulls potential customers in.
And they mentioned tailoring content to buying stages.
Yeah, that's key for nets. Early stage, people are just realizing they have a problem, so content should be about the why care, educating them on the issue.
Okay.
Middle stage, they're looking at solutions, so content should be about how to implement or different approaches.
Comparing options.
Right. And late stage, they're choosing a vendor. So content needs to focus on why choose you.
Yeah.
Case studies, demos, competitive comparisons.
And this content needs to be genuinely useful, right? Not just sales pitches.
Absolutely. High quality, valuable, actionable stuff based on the pain points you identified in your niche. And crucially, you need to test what works. And remember, the goal is ultimately sales, not just content views.
Got it. Seeds are organic, nets attract. What about spears? Sounds more targeted.
It is. Spears are about targeted outbound prospecting or business development. Think precision hunting.
So actively going after specific high-value accounts.
Exactly. Usually involves direct human interaction, calling, emailing, targeted outreach to a specific list of ideal potential customers.
When does this spear approach work best? Are there conditions?
Yeah, the book lays out a few. First, your deal sizes need to be pretty substantial to make the intensive effort worthwhile. They suggest maybe $10K, $20 or more in lifetime value.
Okay, not for tiny deals.
Right. Second, your value prop needs to be super clear and easy to grasp quickly. Third, you need real differentiation. And fourth, it's usually tough if you're trying to directly replace a solution they're already heavily invested in and happy with.
It's a strategic, high-value play.
Definitely. And they actually wrote a whole previous book, Predictable Revenue, that goes super deep just on this outbound spear methodology.
Right. Okay. So you've got seeds, nets, and spears feeding the pipeline. The next challenge is scaling the sales part. It's not just hire more reps, is it?
No, definitely not. That's a common mistake. Just adding more salespeople without the right structure can actually create chaos and inefficiency.
So what's the key, according to the book?
Specialization. Sales team specialization. And you break down the sales process into distinct roles. You might have people just qualifying inbound leads, SDRs or BDRs sometimes. Others just doing outbound prospecting, also SDRs, BDRs. Others just closing deals, account executives. And then others managing the accounts post-sale, account managers or customer success.
Why is that separation so important?
Because each role requires a pretty different skill set and mindset. Someone great at patient-led nurturing might not be the aggressive closer you need. The person who loves hunting for new business might hate managing existing accounts.
And trying to do it all makes you mediocre.
That's what they argue. They cite data suggesting like 90% of salespeople who have to juggle all those tasks end up performing poorly across the board. Specialization lets people master their specific part of the process.
That makes a lot of sense. What about practical advice for a company just starting to build out that sales team?
A key piece of advice for early stage scaling is always hire in pairs.
Hire 2 salespeople at once. Why?
Well, think about it. If you hire just one person and they either crush it or completely bomb, it's hard to know why. Was it the person, the market, your product? your process.
You don't have a comparison point.
Exactly. Hiring too gives you a much better data set. You can start to see patterns and understand if success or failure is down to the individual or the system you've put them in.
That's a really smart, practical tip. And for companies already in that hypergrowth phase, what's critical for them?
For them, it's all about having a systematized, repeatable sales process, a really clear playbook.
Like everyone follows the same step.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's room for individual skill, but the core process needs to be defined and consistent. This makes everything more efficient, especially hiring and training new reps quickly as you scale up. You need that machine-like predictability.
Specialization and a repeatable process. Got it. Okay, the last foundational insight we wanted to hit today is about doubling your deal size. Why is that so crucial for hypergrowth?
The core idea here is that it's just incredibly hard work to build a massive business, like a $100 million AR business, purely on small deals.
Just too many transactions needed.
Yeah, the volume required is immense. While small deals might get you started, the authors argue that larger deals are what really accelerate growth significantly and make those bigger revenue milestones achievable.
So you need to consciously work on increasing the average deal value, not just the number of deals.
Precisely. It should be a major focus. And a big part of that is a mindset shift.
How so?
Shifting from thinking you sell a tool or a feature to realizing you offer a solution to a major business problem.
Focusing on the outcome, the value delivered.
Exactly. When you frame what you do as a solution to a critical pain point, especially for your best customers, those who get the most value, it changes how you can price.
You can charge based on that value.
Right. Instead of just cost plus or matching competitors, you price based on the significant impact you're having. The book suggests you might be able to charge way more, maybe multiples of what you currently charge, if you're solving a really big problem for the right people.
Do they give an example of this?
Yeah, they talk about a corporate training company. They started out selling like $5 online courses, tiny deals.
Okay.
Then they shifted focus. They started targeting larger companies with bigger training needs and budgets. They bundled services into comprehensive packages, solving bigger organizational problems. Their average deal size shot up to like $50,000 plus.
Wow, that's a huge jump. Same basic expertise, different packaging and target.
Pretty much. It was about understanding the value they could provide to bigger clients with bigger problems and pricing accordingly. It put them on a much faster track.
So focusing on larger, often enterprise-level deals makes hitting big revenue targets more efficient.
Much more efficient, yeah. Getting to $10 million or $100 million ARR is a lot more feasible with $100,000 deals than with $1,000 deals. It's just math.
Right. Okay, so wrapping this up then. These initial steps from impossible to inevitable really seem to be about building that solid foundation before you hit the accelerator.
Absolutely. It starts with that laser focus, nailing your niche, knowing exactly who you serve best and the deep problems you solve for them.
Then building the engine, that predictable pipeline, using seeds, nets, and spears to consistently find those customers.
Right. And structuring your sales team for efficiency through specialization and a repeatable process.
And finally, thinking bigger about the value you deliver and aiming for larger deal sizes by selling solutions, not just tools.
It's all interconnected groundwork.
It really seems like it. We hope this deep dive into these initial stages has given everyone listening some valuable takeaways, maybe struck a few aha moments about your own work or just understanding how fast-growing companies operate.
Yeah, and there's obviously more in the book's full 7-step plan, things like perseverance, employee ownership, defining your destiny, lots more good stuff.
Definitely worth checking out the full book. So if you found these notebook nuggets useful today, please do take a second to like this.
Helps others find it.
Yeah. And leave a comment, any questions, or maybe share your own experiences with nailing a niche or building a pipeline. We'd love to hear them.
And share it with anyone you think might benefit.
And of course, subscribe for more deep dives into useful resources like this one. We're always curious about what resonates and what you'd like us to cover next.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.